Taipei is an interesting place because it does do interesting things, and to have a festival on gin is quite nice in this very old part of Taipei, and it really was an exciting festival. We've been to food shows, drink shows before, but this one is out in the street, and it's in a very nice old part of Taipei, and it's a very lively festival.
The sheer amount of young people. I don't think I saw any experience. I don't take the word old into my mouth. They were all dominant by young people.
It was the same at the whiskey show we went to. There's many young people there. But of course you don't get everyone being drunk on the streets like you do in England or in Europe. So people actually control, or they don't show if they're getting too drunk. It's a much more civilized approach to alcohol here, I think.
This is very much one thing I also recognized here. Even so, they drink like nobody's business, but you don't see them drunk, hanging around in the streets. No, they're jolly people, they enjoy the drinks. They are really a lovely bunch of people. I love them. That's why I love this place.
Taiwan's the second biggest importer of whiskey, I think, in the world. And now we're seeing a great surge of gin all around the world. Every town in England has a gin company. So gin is quite popular here in Taiwan. In Europe, we'd often have a gin and tonic. Here, it's used a lot in cocktails. So cocktails are very big in Taiwan. So why not? Gin's probably the next big importer, I would think.
I honestly believe that gin is replacing whiskey very soon because it has a much more personal touch to the drink. It is much more personalized to the young people. You can have gin at the beach, you can have gin in a hotel, you can have gin in a bar, you can have a cocktail everywhere. With a whiskey, you have to have the right setting, you have to have probably the expensive whiskey no young people can afford. So with gin, different. I think gin has a great future, particularly with the creativity emerging. This year I saw a lot new type of gins coming onto the market. People get more creative. They go away from the traditional manufacturing of gin.
Problem with that is, like beer here, Taiwan always has to fiddle with the original. So whether it's food, beer, gin, so you're now getting all these weird, wonderful flavors added into gin. So Taiwan then creates its own style. It happens throughout the whole of the food drink industry here in Taiwan. So it's interesting that people want to use their local ingredients, but sometimes I wonder if some of these ingredients do actually work. And if someone is going to try a Chinese medicine style gin, and that's their first introduction to gin, they haven't really tasted what gin is really like. The same with beer. Like having a sweet potato IPA is very different to a real IPA. So people's attitude or knowledge of what a drink or food tastes like in Taiwan could be totally thrown by what they put into it.
Yeah, you mentioned the sweet potato. I mean, we tasted for the first time ever here at the festival the sweet potato gin. It was quite a unique experience, even so people like it or don't. I personally don't like the potato because potato creates normal short drinks, and you have in Ireland you have the poutine, you have the moonshiners all using potatoes. So the creativity lies in using different spices. Yes, Chinese medicine spices, which is the base of Chinese medicine. There's the different spices, and this is all ideal base conditions for creating, for distilling a good gin.
However, when you use the term Chinese medicine, you think, oh my goodness, but sometimes some flavors of Chinese medicine works. But when I interviewed, I think the second guy in Taiwan to get the brewer's license, Jolly's of Taipei, he very clearly says if you're going to do a beer with sweet potato in it or a local flour, you don't call it beer. You call it a fruit beer or a vegetable beer. So people aren't confused with what beer is. Because beer, as you know, in Germany, there's the German rule. In Europe, Western America, we'd have hops and barley, whatever. So Taiwan's kind of slightly changed it. If you want to do fruit beer, you call it cider, but we don't kind of hear that too much here.
Just brew the traditional beer. So the flavor for us, there is no strawberry, no any kind of fruit, mango fruit inside.
So why did you decide not to use fruit in your beers?
For us, there are two reasons. One reason because beer should have their own flavor, special name for the special recipe, and then we like to make it more like craft beer. Because you add fruits in the beer, it tastes not like beer. It's a little bit like juice.
So perhaps there's a bit of education to do here to get people to understand what category a product should fit into. This company is a religious gin company, and the man is a Christian, and everything has a religious flavour or a religious taste to its marketing.
Any alcohol I know was created by Christian people. If it is the whiskies, which was created first in the Midlands of Ireland, the Irish whiskies were the monks in Ireland, in Tullamore area, in Offaly, they created the first whiskies. If it was the German beer manufacturers in Bavaria in Germany, the monks again created that beer. Or if it was the vineyards in France, it was the Christian people who created the wine. It was always Christian people who created the alcohol. I don't know why alcohol in Christianity is so popular.
But of course the Salvation Army are very much against alcohol, so there are some religious organisations which would frown, but I've never seen a company, a religious company in England producing alcohol. Oh, the monks down at Buckfastleigh.
Yes.
And because everyone up in Scotland drinks it because it's such high alcohol and it's a very good, cheap way of getting drunk.
Yes, yes. Indeed, I mean, in the old times, before King Billy or whatever decided to change the Christianity in England, there were the traditional Christians who certainly had local breweries, and they tried themselves in creating alcohol of the different shapes and types. It's great to see a modern company like the Holy Company creating the gin under the religious and holy name, and even using the name holy for producing their product of gin. Why did the monks and the religion people created all the different alcohols? The aspect was not to get stone drunk and to have big parties or big sessions. No, the reason for creating the different type of alcohols was medical reasons. There's a little gin of my own creation. I was able to create my own gin.
It does burn on the back of the throat a bit, but it's a gin. Some of the gins I've tasted today, I wondered what I was drinking. But this is a Burnie creation of a gin, and it's not bad. And it's just nice to be able to sit down and drink a gin that someone else has made for themselves. Why am I getting that burning in the back of my throat?
The spices which makes the burning in their throat. Now, depending on what type of spices you're using, it burns your tip of the tongue, your middle of the tongue, or your back of your throat. I tasted early on the gins here from the Okinawa Gin Company, and I felt the first spice taste on the tip of my tongue. And then suddenly there was a gin I tasted, and it created the taste first on the center of my tongue. Another gin I tasted created the spice on the bottom of my tongue. Most gins create the spice in the back of your neck. And this is one of them. It goes to the back of your neck first, travels down your center into your into your stomach.
And now Bernie's going to take another sip of his tea cocktail. So it's very unusual to see a beer in a cocktail.
Yes, very much so. It doesn't taste like tea at all. The tea isn't dominant, while it contributes to the flavor. It's quite nice. The dominant flavor is the gin and the beer.
So, all in all, it's been a gin-tastic day.
It's just nice to see people getting involved, not just in drinking, but also in the creation of the drink.
You don't see a whiskey festival. I can't see a whiskey festival being held on the streets of Taipei. But gin, it works and it should never go indoors.
Very, very much so, because the uniqueness of this festival is the outdoor. Even if it rains, you still can enjoy your festival.